and welcome to Tech Talk, where you'll hear the latest in technology and investment trends directly from the trendsetters. I'm your host, Fritz Spencer, member of EisnerAmper's Technology and Life Sciences practice, and with me today is serial entrepreneur and investor David Wieland, CEO and founder of Realized. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to EisnerAmper wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also find us on YouTube at EisnerAmper. Realized helps transform wealth from individual investment properties into diversified real estate portfolios, customized to income needs, tax situations, and investment goals. Today's insightful conversation could influence the next steps for your own startup. David, thank you so much for joining me today. Excited to have this conversation.
Thanks, Fritz. It's great to be here.
Great. So to get us started, would you kindly introduce yourself to our audience and give us a little bit about your background briefly?
Yeah, my name is David Wieland, and I'm the CEO and founder of Realized. Serial entrepreneur, but this is my sixth startup. Traditionally, I have done startups that were at the intersection of tax, real estate, and structured finance. And Realized follows all three of those, and it adds a fourth leg of the four-legged stool, and that's technology.
At EisnerAmper, we are creative problem solvers that take a 360-degree approach focusing on you. We're an award-winning firm with decades of experience. EisnerAmper, let's get you ready.
Great. So let's dive right into Realized. Can you explain your startup's mission and what you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission is to simplify investment property wealth. So to help investors, especially baby boomers, transition from owning actively managing real estate or investment property into passive tax-optimized portfolios. And just to be clear here, we're talking about investment property, which excludes primary residence. So as we're talking in this conversation, think about those who own rent houses, family farms, ranches, those types of properties rather than your primary residence.
Wonderful. So what was the specific challenge that you saw or problem that you saw that you said, I need to build this to fix this problem?
It's a great question. So when you look at baby boomers in the United States, baby boomers have $8.6 trillion of equity trapped in investment properties. Put that in perspective, that's right at about 8.5% of the total net worth of all baby boomers is in investment properties. And the question becomes, why do they continue to actively manage these properties and to have less than optimal returns when they're in retirement? And a bigger question is, why don't wealth managers manage investment property wealth? They manage wealth of stocks and bonds. Wouldn't it make sense for the same person who's managing all your other investments, all your other assets, to be managing investment properties? And that question was really the genesis for Realized. How can we solve that problem?
Great. So you gave us a little bit about your background and kind of building up into what you've made and how it solves that problem that you've just identified with baby boomers and their real estate wealth. So tell us more about the platform, how it's designed, what it's designed to do, and kind of how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a tech-first digital platform designed to help advisors build diversified portfolios on behalf of their clients who own investment properties. So a client will sell their investment property in a traditional third-party sale, and then they'll come to their advisor. Their advisor will use our tech to capture wishes, wants, needs, very similar to a traditional financial planning construct. And from there, then talk to them about what they want to achieve with this investment property wealth. They put it into our platform. They put all of these different inputs, and then we through a portfolio construction process, build optimized portfolios that maximize the investor's after-tax risk-adjusted return. And the idea here, the technology, it really is allowing an advisor to manage this wealth from the time that an investor sells their investment property all the way through the life cycle of building a portfolio to disposition, and ultimately as that wealth transfers to the next generation. So it's an end-to-end solution for managing this investment property wealth.
Wonderful. And before we hop into that generational succession, which I know is a complex, red tape stricken area, I would love to learn a little bit more about the tech that you've built out to to basically oversee this process, if you will. Tell me more about the technology and the platform itself.
Yeah, we realized as a tech-forward company. So today, I think about 15 of our 35 employees are developers, primarily in the Ukraine, who've been building technology. The first thing that we started with is risk quantification. So if you think about real estate, there is no beta like there is in stocks. There's no rating like there is in bonds. You have no way to quantify risk systematically in real estate. And so at the heart of our technology are these algorithms that I started working on, frankly, when I was in graduate school, that capture historical volatility on individual properties, offerings, and portfolios, and allow us to bring modern portfolio theory, if you will, into real estate. And that's really the core, the combination of risk quantification and then building optimized portfolios that produce the outcomes that are going to, again, maximize the investor's after-tax risk-adjusted returns. So we're using algorithms and a lot of structured finance, frankly, a lot of hardcore quantitative algorithms that go back deep into the brains of CFAs and big brain people all over the world to help us put these together.
And so the platform itself, is it kind of like a SaaS model? How would you define the revenue model behind the startup itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we operate a couple of different ways. We have a managed services offering where if we're working with an advisor, we can work with them as a sub-manager, as a money manager, and we actually run the platform. So that's sort of a money manager, sub-advisor type of relationship. And we find that firms like to jump into that initially because they get paid while they're learning, and we can walk them through that and hold their hand. As they progress and they begin to build a business line within their RIA practices for investment property wealth management, they then can graduate to a full tech solution. So that is a multi-tenant SaaS solution where they have the capabilities to run all of the insights and to completely build a line of business, investment property wealth management, using our technology.
Wow, that's so interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about your customer, or maybe the different types of customers that you do have. It sounds like my parents might be a prime example. They're in the boomer generation and they have investment properties. How does acquiring them as a customer, what does that onboarding situation look like for them and for your other types of customers?
Sure. So we started out as a direct-to-consumer business. And so we grew that business over the last 6 or 7 years. We've placed about $1 billion of equity, and we've transacted almost $2 billion worth of transactions across our platform in direct consumer. On the B2B side, that's where we're working with an advisor. And so typically that is how most of our new clients approach us. They'll have a situation where they're thinking about selling an investment property, and they'll go to their financial advisor just like they would if they were selling some other asset and say, I need some help with this. What should I do with it? That advisor then typically engages Realized either through our technology or directly. And we then start the process again with the client of going through wishes, wants, needs, figuring out their objectives, creating portfolios, and then executing on portfolios and managing those so that we're managing to individual customers' financial goals and lifestyle goals.
So tell me a little bit more about that asset transition. When you're taking in these assets and you're, I don't want to call it digesting them into a new portfolio for them, but you're kind of remodeling that asset. How does that look? What does that process really mean?
Well, so stepping back a little bit, the way, in my opinion, that you make real money in real estate is by maximizing tax benefits. Because if you do that, you're getting free return if you just maximize tax benefits. So that's really at the heart of all of the companies that we've ever started or I've ever started. And this is no different. So we use something called a 1031 exchange with our clients. And what that allows an investor to do, it says if they sell an investment property, they don't have to pay capital gains on the proceeds as long as they reinvest all of the sale proceeds into something of equal or greater value. So it's kind of like a 401k. You put your money in tax, after tax, and it grows tax efficiently, tax deferred up until the point that you take it out of the 401k. Same with the 1031 exchange. It grows tax deferred until they quit doing 1031 exchanges. So they'll sell their investment property. We'll help them with the 1031 exchange. But the 1031 exchange is really just the bridge to the solution, because it's at that point that we're working with the client to understand. Again, think of these as baby boomers. And this is where you come in and you get to ask them questions like, what is this money for? What is your after-tax return? What do you want to do in terms of lifestyle? How is this going to change the character of you or your family's lifestyle going forward. And those are conversations that most real estate investors, frankly, just have never had because they've always been on their own. They've always built their own properties. They've always run their own properties. They're kind of DIY type of people. And so these are really magical conversations to have because for the first time, these real estate investors, these investment property owners feel like they have somebody on their side of the table, somebody who actually cares about them and what they are trying to achieve. And they appreciate the help.
Wow. So you guys are wearing a lot of different hats. You're the investor, the manager, the family therapist, and the probate attorney all at the same time. Tell me a little bit about that succession you mentioned earlier. How does that process when these baby boomers want to eventually pass this generational wealth on to the next generation? What's that process like and how seamless have you guys made it?
Yeah, great question. So again, maximizing tax benefits is the way that you really create wealth in real estate. So, you're going to do these 1031 exchanges and you're going to continue to defer gains. Well, there's another part of the tax code that says when you pass this wealth on to your heirs, that you get what's called a step up in basis, which means that the market value or the taxable value of the estate that you pass goes to market. And so all those capital gains that you deferred via that 1031 exchange that you did over and over again are now gone. So what's really interesting is it goes to the next generation on again, where they don't owe any capital gains. But more importantly, and I think this is really what you're getting at here, is this is really a bridge to the next generation, particularly for wealth managers who are concerned that they're going to lose their clients when the last generation passes. That the next generation, people like you, Fritz, are going to go in and say, okay, just give me the cash that my parents had, and we're going to go to another advisor. And this is one because it's real estate, because it's got some tangibility, and because it's physical, it actually produces this way to bridge to the next generation for financial advisors. So extremely tax efficient outcome for the investor, but some real benefits for the advisor who wants to continue to manage that wealth for generations.
So there's almost like a three-way stickiness with the advisor, the customer, and yourself. So you guys have this bridged relationship that can carry forward without having any breaks or gaps that keeps you guys, successfully doing your jobs for these both customers. I feel like is being the advisor and also the investment owner.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, as long as we do our job and continue to service that end investor through that advisor or directly, we tend to have customers for a very long time. Most of our customers have done multiple transactions with us, multiple investments, multiple 1031 exchanges. And so they continue to grow with us. And we're excited because the success that we've had on the direct consumer side is we've done $1 billion in equity. We're now working with B2B firms and allowing them to go to their clients and provide the same level of service and the same solution that we've proven really works and has huge demand.
So you've met a lot of success along this road. You've had a lot of success in your prior startups. You know how this goes with goals and milestones. What's the next milestone and how are you guys getting there?
Great question. So the next milestone really comes with wide adoption by advisors. And what that looks like is when our B2B traffic or our B2B revenue, however you want to think about it, is 3 to 5 times what our direct consumer is. Because at that point, we will have made enough inroads to the wealth manager to where this thing is going to take hold. We already know the demand is there. We already know that the client wants it and we know the wealth manager. But once we see adoption from enough wealth managers, 3 to 5 times our revenue is coming from that B2B or B2BC channel, I will feel comfortable that this thing is really taking hold and probably needs to go off to somebody else to help them besides myself to have them run it.
Exactly what I was kind of leading to. So you guys have raised funds, or are you bootstrapping? Like, are you this next, I guess, if you want to call it a sales push, it sounds like that's going to be your next stage, is really getting in front of advisors via some sort of sales push. How are you funding that? Are you looking for funding?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a venture-backed company, did our Series A in 2018, and then we're cash flow positive for about 6 or 7 years. We're doing a Series B right now. So we're talking to a number of big players, big institutions, as well as venture capital and PE firms. And the capital that we're raising today, probably in the $15 to $20 million range, is really to accelerate the B2B adoption. Just what I was talking about. The technology's been built. We've got almost $20 million of hard cost in our technology. And now it is just putting it in front of advisors, putting it on their desktops and helping them to get adoption with their clients.
Wonderful. Well, David, I want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me today. It was really enlightening.
Yeah. And Fritz, it's great to talk with you. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Of course. And for those who'd like to follow Realize's journey and maybe even become a future investor, what's the best way to connect with you and Realized?
Absolutely. So our website is realized1031.com. And on there, you can find my name, David Wieland. My email's on there as well. I'd welcome a call from anybody who wants to talk more about it and learn more about the opportunity, whether it be an investor or an advisor who is looking to grow their practice.
Wonderful. And yeah, as EisnerAmper is an advisory firm, we'd love to follow your success and join in that as along the road.
Yeah, real key, important. I'm glad you said that. Last thing I'll say is we love working with CPAs. We love working with estate planning attorneys. We love bringing a group of people around a client and building a team and a solution. So just a plug for CPAs in general who might be listening. We love working with CPAs.
Wonderful. Thanks again, David. And a special thanks to our listeners for tuning into Tech Talk, the entrepreneurs, innovators, and investors who turn to EisnerAmper for audit, tax, and advisory solutions to help propel their business. Again, subscribe to EisnerAmper's podcast to listen to more Tech Talk episodes or visit EisnerAmper.com for more tech news that you can use.